Coming up on this week's show, we look for a reliable family vehicle for under the 200,000 Rand mark.
We find out whether a high-mileage Honda HR-V is a sound used by.
And we advise a viewer who needs to replace the battery in his BMW X5.
Hello and welcome to Buyer's Guide. We'll be tackling a fresh batch of your vehicle-related questions and queries once again. And here to help us this week are two familiar faces, Gugu Masuku from Change Cars and Bradley Scorer from Survisor. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Back with us. Okay, remember, if you like the panel's advice, you can send us an email to buyersguide@ignitiontv.co.za. And please include as much information as possible, as well as a nice selfie of yourself.
Okay, we're going to kick off things with a question from Alan, who hails from Polokwane. And he needs a reliable, fuel-efficient, low-maintenance family car that his wife can use for the daily drive. With a cash budget of 200,000 Rand, which of the following would be a better buy? A 2015 Honda Accord, 2013 Lexus GS250, or a 2013 Lexus ES300 or 350. He's aware that the vehicle will have over 150,000 Ks on the clock, but due to their reliability, he believes that there is still life in them, and he adds that the Mitsubishi Pajero Sport 2.5 is also an option. Gugu, let's start with you. What would you go on that list?
I had other options for his wife, nothing on this list. One of them being the Duster, the 1.5 DCI, or possibly the Nissan X-Trail as alternatives.
Those are also options to look at. Brad?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not massively excited about those cars, especially the mileage, even though they are cut down a Toyota and very reliable. I'm nervous for a car over that. The Mitsubishi will be well past their required fuel consumption maximum.
And the mileage is going to be way
high. I mean, I like your suggestions, and I also thought, maybe a RAV4, you could find one of the 180,000 Ks, might be a bit cheaper to maintain, or a Kia Sportage, or a Mitsubishi ASX, because he likes Mitsubishi. You know, there's smaller cars which I think would get better mileage and long-term use out of. I mean, Lexus are great cars, but they're also quite electronic. So, when you start looking at that sort of distance on them, could be a problem.
See, the Accord and both Lexuses are both big saloon cars. So, I mean, for the family, they're good cars to put stuff in. They're low risk. I quite like the Accord because it's compared to the Lexus, it's a better looking car. And he did say he had a previous Accord.
Yeah, and he knows the Accord.
He says he has an Accord.
He knows the Accord currently, yeah.
So the new generation of Accords are also not too bad. And at his price bracket of 200,000 Rand, I don't think he's going to find one with low mileage. They are going to be over the 150,000 kilometer mark.
And he says he's happy with them being over the 150,000 kilometers.
Look, I mean,
understands.
Those cars will easily, all of them will do well over 250, 300,000 Ks. But I would also suggest maybe looking at something like a Honda HR-V, because you'll find a good 1800 HR-V, which is an SUV, automatic in this sort of price range. They're very reliable, very fuel efficient, and because they're quite a spacious car, it'd be a great family option. An SUV always has that little bit of extra space. Something to look at. It's not the sedans that he's looking at, but he's looking at a Mitsubishi Pajero Sport. So if you want an SUV, it's not as big as like a Pajero Sport, but it's a great option to look at in terms of fuel efficiency, reliability, and nice car to drive.
You know what I'd like to tell you guys, right? But it'd be silly in this instance. I'd like to tell you guys, all shut up, go buy the Mitsubishi Pajero Sport. But that won't, like you just said, Brad, it'll defeats everything he asked for.
They're also expensive to maintain.
Yes, it's a
beautiful
reliable car. It's a beautiful car.
But
if something goes wrong, it's not going to be cheap.
Find a Pajero Sport under 200,000 Rand will be quite a challenge.
Probably won't have a roof.
Yeah, most probably.
It'll have a roof, probably won't have an engine.
I mean, the other route as well, you could go for something smaller and you can go for something fairly new. A popular car we often recommend on the show is the Suzuki Baleno. And, for 200,000 Rand, that's close to new. It's close to, I think, a entry-level Baleno's run about the 220 mark, something like that. Yeah, it's a great runabout.
Or if you add 25K more and you're not too perturbed about a hatchback. Did he say he doesn't want hatchbacks?
Well, it's for his wife.
Oh, it's for his wife. So you could buy a brand new Suzuki Swift.
I also find it quite funny. I mean, he's trying to make a decision for his wife here. He's very brave. I think you should go and take her and show her the cars and let her choose.
I think that there's the best advice.
That's it.
Give. That's the
Here's the money, go buy a car.
Yes,
If it
yes.
breaks down, don't speak to me. Okay.
Okay, right. Up next, we have a question from Melville, who lives in Queenstown, and he's looking to get into an SUV within a budget of 550,000 Rand. He intends on keeping the vehicle for 4 years, and he will be using the car 2 to 3 times a week, traversing farm roads in poor conditions. He has narrowed down his options to the following vehicles: a new Mahindra Scorpio N, or used examples of either the Mercedes-Benz GLC 250D or ML250. Okay, guys, I ain't going to put him in any of the Mercs. So
No, I mean,
but that's just my opinion.
For
You, Brad?
applications straight away, you're into the Mahindra if that's on your list. I think the Merc on very rough, dangerous farm roads, I would stay away from. I think you're going to be buying
But
tyres.
what he needs to remember,
Yeah.
all roads right now in South Africa are rough, dangerous roads.
Yeah.
There's no good roads. So you should just stay away from the Merc anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the Merc's a beautiful car. They all are very good cars.
Well, that
Yeah.
new Scorpio N is very nice.
Yes.
It's a good-looking car. They've come out with new technologies in it, and it's a big improvement of what we visualize Mahindra. I mean,
Yeah.
They're basic, from a basic,
yeah.
from what was a basic, very basic vehicle
Yeah.
that you wouldn't get into, to what they have now. It's a luxury.
Yeah,
It's the best value for money, I think,
Quite a long way.
in the cheaper SUVs.
And with the ground clearance and probably have a centre lock diff, for if it gets muddy or something like that on the farm roads. I mean, for me, it's a no-brainer. It's not even a discussion.
the Mahindras of today, the new ones that are coming out, it's very much like the Chinese brands. It's like they brought out very basic, simple, rudimentary vehicles, and then they've suddenly just like jumped up and
The
caught
next
up with
level,
everybody.
way beyond the next level.
Learning curve.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they've literally skipped like a couple of models. Or they've gone from being something which is like
Base model,
agricultural to something that's worthwhile to drive. Really, really worthwhile looking at them. Some actually comes quite nice
And
cars.
they've also skipped the price increase, unlike a lot of the other brands.
Yes,
Yeah, 100%.
yes,
So
absolutely.
they've got the technology, but they haven't added the extra 300 grand on top to pay for it.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's definitely an option.
well worth a look at. I would definitely point him into the Mahindra stable. Definitely worthwhile a look. And I know in the Eastern Cape, Mahindra big there, so there's lots of dealers around. You'll get good backup. The Mercedes, I think we all agree, stay away from it. If you were driving on highways and stuff like that, cool. But on dirt roads, forget it. Unless you own a tire shop and a suspension shop. Okay, stay tuned, because after the break, we find out whether the Honda HR-V is a good used buy.
And we help a 27-year-old get into an affordable yet reliable hot hatch. You're watching Buyer's Guide, and if you've just joined us, welcome to this week's show. Everett wants to get into a used Honda HR-V, and he's found a 2015 1.8 Elegance with 135,000 kilometers on the clock. That's selling for just under 200K. Would this be a good used buy? Also, what sort of mileage can you expect from the engine and gearbox before they show any problems? Considering his limited budget, what else can you guys suggest? Ideally, a reliable, fuel-efficient vehicle with an automatic transmission. Gugu?
Look, I don't think he'll have any problems with the Honda. Don't know about engine and gearbox longevity. You guys would be better suited to talk to that. But other alternatives for him, the Mitsubishi ASX, he could get that. Civic sedan, in my opinion, he could also jump into that.
Yeah, it's a good option.
That's a
Brad?
good option. Brett?
Yeah, so I agree with the ASX also. I mean, I found one on the net, 2017 with the same price. Not that there's anything wrong with that Honda. I think that Honda will go forever if you look after it properly.
Yeah.
So it's a good buy. It's a good car. There's nothing wrong with it. But there is other options out there. Kia Sportage. There's a lot of different options. Again, it's about which one you like and which one you enjoy the most. But the Honda, great car. ASX, great car.
I like the look of a Sportage.
Yeah.
The ASX doesn't grab me, but the Sportage, the look of it, the older one, looks very nice. And if you can get one at 200K, it's also going to be a little bit of a high miler. But they again, like Adams mentions, if you're looking for spares and parts and things, available all over. Korean based, and you will get spares in a hurry for the Sportage. So Sportage, I like that option.
Nicely put together car.
The one thing I can say about that HR-V, I mentioned it earlier on the show, it's a really good option as a second-hand car. It's comfortable, it's spacious. You know you're not going to have a problem with it. If you maintain it as per the manufacturer's specifications, you will do 300,000-400,000 kilometers. You know, a lot of Honda vehicles, the sort of demographic of people who buy them aren't sort of the oaks that You know,
Unlike
the
Google.
vinghats that race everywhere.
Unlike Google, who want to vinchat all over the place.
They don't attract that sort of, unless it's like a Type R or something, they don't really attract that kind of buyer that drills the hell out of a car. So they're normally always well looked after. They do stay together, they don't give trouble. Really, really good option. If you can buy this car, I guarantee you'll be very happy, and you must probably give it to your grandchildren. What you guys have mentioned as well, the Mitsubishi ASX, I also think is a really good car. Also very reliable and spacious. You may get one with better mileage. The only thing is with that, the parts backup compared to the Honda is not as good. It's a lot easier to get parts for the Honda than it would be for the ASX. Although, as I say, both really good cars. And it's a great option to go and have a look at. Very similar. The ASX is a 2-litre with a CVT gearbox. The Honda's a 1.8 with a CVT gearbox. And they are real direct competitors. Most probably, those three cars are most probably the best three SUVs under the 200,000 Rand mark. They're just simple, basic, designed for a purpose to get you from A to B until you die. Just like All right, our next question is from 27-year-old Dion, who is looking for a reliable, sporty vehicle and is considering the following options. A 2014 Audi A1 Sportback 1.4 TFSI with 125,000 kilometers on the clock, and a 2014 Ford Fiesta ST, which has done 118,000 Ks. He saw both cars selling for 179,900, and he's looking to buy the vehicle cash. Would both these cars be reliable in the long term? No. What do you guys
No, I don't know where you're going to go buy yourself a performance hatch and expect it to be. If it's driven like Google drives it,
So the cars have been driven. We assume that they've been driven the way that you and I would drive them,
yes.
right? So that's standard. The only thing I'd look at is maintenance cost. I think you'd be better off in the Ford Fiesta than the Audi in terms of maintaining the car. So that's the direction I would point him in between the two cars.
Definitely.
And if you can find a Fiesta ST, they're quite rare, the Fiesta ST. If you can find one in good condition, I would tell him buy it and hold on to it, because if it's in good nick, he'll probably get his money back.
Yeah, so I mean the ST is definitely like, the Audi, you might still find one which was driven by an old lady or something like that, so you might get lucky. With the ST, you guarantee that the person's driven the car properly.
Driven it hard, yeah.
So you need to check it properly. They're both nice cars. I think the Audi is a glorified Polo.
Yes.
That's what it is. So the parts are available, so there is big option there, where the ST parts would be a little bit more limited. Both good cars, but my choice would be the Ford. Just check it out.
Yeah, I think the reliability of the Ford is a bit better than the Audi. If it's a manual, not too bad, but the engines can be a problem in those Audis. They 1.4 suffer from quite a few problems, timing chain failures, high oil consumption, things like that, where the Ford doesn't really have that many problems. Actually quite a good, strong engine. So, but again, if you're buying any of these cars, make sure, check service history to make sure that the service history is up to date at a reputable place, and it can verify the mileage on that as well. So check that out and see that it's been properly serviced and looked after. And I think we all agree if you go for the Ford, it's a much better buy.
Yep. We'll be taking a short break, but when we return, what kind of vehicle is the easiest to get in and out of if you're on crutches?
And can you expect the same lifespan from an aftermarket battery as an OEM item? Welcome back to Buyer's Guide. Mark is a proud owner of a fully paid off 2021 double cab Toyota Hilux Legend 2.8 GD6 with only 19,000 kilometers on the clock. After a motor vehicle accident, he's walking on crutches and he finds it difficult to climb in and out of the car. He would like to replace the Hilux with something that's easier to get in and out of and which offers plenty of luxury and tech. Got a budget of 600,000 Rand and he can get into a Cherry Tiggo 8 Pro Max. But would this be a good buy, guys? Brad, what do you think?
Yeah, so I'm a fan of these cars. That along with our Vol and the new Armada that's out.
Yes.
They're all great cars. They come with a serious amount of tech for the money. I think they'll be easier to get into. I don't know, like maybe the sideways movement. Yeah, so they're all sort of similar heights.
But lower than the...
Yeah, quite a bit lower.
Quite a bit lower than the Hilux.
Yeah, especially the Hilux, yeah. So I think that Cherry is a great car. Look at the Vol, look at the Armada. there's a plethora of cars that you could get into for that sort of money that would help.
What do you think, Cooks?
Look, I've got nothing against the Chinese cars. I'll even throw in the Beijing X55. But the only thing, well, actually, the only thing I do have against them is fuel economy. So, like the Tiggo Pro 8, I've driven that. Very, very bad fuel economy. The Beijing, it's like all of them. I don't know.
But I think,
2-litre engine.
after the first service, that fuel economy is adjusted. They run rich for the first couple, up to the first 15,000 kilometers, and then it's adjusted in.
Yeah, I think they do a service at 5,000 or something, and I
It's
know
adjusted, yeah.
following a lot of these social media groups with Cherry and Haval and that, just to see the sort of response of owners. And I know a friend of mine's got a Tiggo 8, and his average fuel consumption is 8.5 litres 100, which is very good, I think, for a big car like that.
Yeah.
So I think in this application, the gent wants to be able to get in and out of the car. It's the best thing to do is to go along and have a look at that vehicle, see if are you able to get in and out on your crutches. Brad's also mentioned some of the other Chinese brands, which is well worth looking at, seeing if you can get in and out. But the Tiggo 8, I think it's a great option, very good value for money.
I would just have
Spacious.
the suspension lowered on the Toyota. Sorry.
Lowered.
I just have the suspension lowered. I'm not going to be.
Of course you would.
No, seriously.
You would, yeah.
I would.
Yeah, you would.
I would. 19,000 kilometers. I'm not going to go lay out 600K now
Problem is
and
if you-
change my vehicle. I'll just have my suspension lowered.
Well, he'll probably sell the Toyota and get money back on 600. So,
He's right, yeah.
because that's a sought after machine.
Yeah, it's
that
a
we're
legend,
talking
yes.
about.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think he's looking for some money in his pocket while he's at it. I wouldn't lower his suspension. You don't play with what Toyota designed. I think it's a bad idea.
I would. I'd lower the suspension because I'm going for a Tiggo 8 Pro Max.
The whole of
Got
Chatsworth
no
saying, yeah, lower it, bro.
What you going to do? Just cut those.
No, I'm
springs,
not going to do
just
that.
cut the springs.
I'm going to take it to a proper place and have it done properly. And you can. If you can have it lengthened, you can have those suspensions increased in height. And it's legal and it's well done. Done by proper people. The very same people who can make the suspensions higher can make it lower.
Take our advice. Go and buy the Cherry Tiggo 8. Brand new out the box.
Just see how to get you guys going, hey?
And one thing you will find with that car, it's extremely comfortable. You said
No,
you've
it is.
driven one?
It is, yeah.
It's extremely comfortable. Another car just to throw in there if you want is something like a Volvo XC60. Really comfortable, very reliable, great car to look at as well. So
He doesn't want to spend money after he buys it, Adam.
I don't know, I've had mine for
If he's going to buy the
years, haven't
XC60,
spent
then he
a
might
penny
as
on
well just keep the his Hilux and struggle a little.
use it as a
getting
tow
in.
vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
Our last question comes from Tapelo, who owns a 2013 BMW X5 with 180,000 kilometers on the clock, and which is still fitted with its original 650C 90 AH 12-volt battery. The motor is running perfectly, but the battery seems to be coming to the end of its life because the engine starts lazily, and on cold days he has to jump start it. If you were to replace the current battery with an aftermarket battery of the same spec, will this make any difference to the vehicle, and can he expect it to last as long as the OEM item? No, it won't last as long as the OEM item, but replacing it with the same spec will work, and will work just fine. Bradley, you have anything to add as to why it won't last as long as the OEM?
I agree and disagree. So in some cases, replacing with the aftermarket one will have exactly the same life expectancy, especially if you select the right brand of aftermarket, which is important. So 90% of the time, the OEM manufactured batteries are actually just relabeled aftermarket batteries with a BMW sticker. So definitely going to have a look at the likes of the battery centers and so on that the world, but don't go for the cheapest battery. Go and price the ones at BMW.
You get cheap batteries these days? I've yet to find
Well,
a
you have
cheap
option.
I've
Have a
yet to
cheaper
find
option.
a cheap battery.
So, I mean, go get the price from BMW and then compare it and make sure you choose a good quality one and see if there's a big price difference. If there's a
And
big
there's
price
a lot
difference, go
of
for-
differences.
Not if, there will be a big
Yeah.
Huge price difference.
So just as Brad says, go out, buy a good quality battery. You know, the problem is people come along, I find in my workshop, how much is a battery? It's 1,500 Rand. No, I can get one down the road for 1,200. Okay, go buy it for 1,200. And then, 2 years later, how much is the battery? 'Cause I need another
2
one.
years and 1 month later.
2 years and 1 month,
Yeah.
just out of the warranty. So if you want it to last as long, you're going to pay a little bit extra. So buy a good quality battery for it. If you want to, go to the manufacturer and buy one of their batteries, and you'll get a good battery.
Just make
as
sure
well.
the spec is exactly the same.
Yeah.
The cranking amps and things like that.
And just remember, if you go to somewhere to replace a battery, modern day cars, they have battery management systems in it. So you can't just
Put the battery
hoy
in.
another battery
Yeah.
off you go.
You got to
need
register.
diagnostically tell the computer in the car that there is a new battery and it's of the same load
Spec, yeah.
capacity as the old one, so it needs to know how much to charge and not charge the battery correctly. So if you go and put any old battery in there and then you wonder why the thing fails after a year, it's because the system still thought it had an old battery in it and it overcharges the new battery. So it's got to get done properly, not just put another one in. If somebody does just put another one in, make sure you take it along to a workshop that has the diagnostic equipment to tell the car it has a new battery in it. Okay, and just like that, we've come to the end of another episode of Buyer's Guide. Gugu and Brad, thank you very much for joining us in studio today.
Thank you.
For all
Thanks for
your
having us.
great advice.
Until next time, remember to keep left, pass right, and please keep it safe on the roads.